Outgoing Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen says she is working with the Trump administration to ensure a smooth transition when she officially leaves her post tomorrow. Nielsen submitted her resignation to the president on Sunday, saying it was the honor of a lifetime to serve. She addressed her exit briefly yesterday outside her home, promising to continue to serve the country.
I share the president's goal of securing the border. I will continue to support all efforts to address the humanitarian and security crisis on the border. And other than that, I'm on my way to keep doing what I can for the next few days. So thank you all for being here.
The Commissioner of Customs and Border Patrol, Kevin McAleenan, will serve as acting secretary for DHS. On Twitter, Congressman Clay Higgins of Louisiana thanked Secretary Nielsen for her service. He went on to say, "I look forward to working with Acting Secretary McAleenan to provide DHS with the necessary resources for border security and other operational components." Congressman Higgins serves on the House Homeland Security Committee as well as the Border Security Subcommittee. He joins us now from Capitol Hill to talk about Secretary Nielsen's departure and what's happening at the border. Congressman, welcome, sir.
Good morning, sir. And let me begin by thanking the Secretary for her service to our country. She's one of the most courageous and focused women I've ever met in my life, and I have 6 sisters. So she is reflective of, I think, the strongest of American character, and she has performed tremendously in service for our country to resecure our sovereignty, which is threatened at the southern border.
Congressman Higgins, can I ask you about the southern border? What should be done now by her successor and by the Trump administration to secure the southern border properly?
We should use all means necessary to secure the sovereignty of our country. This is one of the originally enumerated powers and responsibilities of the executive, and the president has got a team on the ground. You know, some Americans don't perhaps quite understand the threat we face down there, but it doesn't take long to understand that our nation's very integrity is threatened, not because we don't have the most compassionate and generous immigration system in the Western world. We do, but because that system, the infrastructure thereof, is overwhelmed. We cannot deal with the numbers of people coming across illegally. The sheer numbers of humanity cannot be handled with the infrastructure we have in place. In Congress, myself and my colleagues, we have to do our part to provide those men and women who are tasked with securing our southern border with the infrastructure they've asked for, the funding that they need, the additional manpower they've requested, the enhanced physical barrier that they've requested, all of the above. And as the Secretary exits, the chain of command will stand up. I have complete confidence in her successor, and that the President will make the right choices. I'm going to tell you, we are threatened down there, though. Anyone that doesn't get that is not paying attention.
Congressman, let me ask you this. When you say by all means necessary, does that include reinstating family separation? As you know, reportedly the president would like to go back to the policy of separating families at our border.
Most families are separated on the long journey to our southern border. Would you send your child from Central America?
That's not the question. I can't possibly know what these parents are facing in making that choice. But should it be the policy of the U.S. government, sir, to separate mothers from their children when they arrive in this country?
We're a compassionate nation, good madam. No one wants to separate parents from their children.
The president does.
But the fact is that these children, these minors, have been placed in a very dangerous position, in some cases by their parents, as they're sent upon this treacherous journey. And children are being used by the cartels as visas to enter our country because of loopholes in our laws, which we must fix. So I would advise any Central American parent that doesn't want to be separated from their child, then don't give your child to a criminal coyote and send them on a 1,000-mile journey through God knows what in order to arrive illegally at the United States southern border.
That's fine, but you're a congressman for representing the United States, not the Northern Triangle countries. So what should be the policy of our government when people do arrive here, and this is predominantly family units? Should mothers be separated from their babies the way that the U.S. government was doing last year?
Well, we have a duty to determine who these adults are. And if you're watching the data and talking to law enforcement professionals, you understand that this is part of the responsibility of vetting and screening.
So is that a yes?
When you have a minor, I'm not sure what you're asking. When you have a minor that's accompanied by an adult, and that adult claims to be the parent, we don't know this for sure. This has to be determined. And there's a process by which the child is interviewed, the adult is interviewed, and it's frequently determined that that's not a blood relative. It's actually part of the criminal component using that child as a visa. So we have a responsibility as compassionate human beings to take care of minor children that come into our country. And we're determined to do that. And I'm quite sure none of your viewers, none of my constituents would include allowing that child to remain in the company of a criminal coyote or some adult
Congressman Higgins, I want to ask you,
child.
Of the possibilities that have already been raised for a successor for Kirstjen Nielsen, people have been reporting on Rick Perry. There's also talk of Chris Kobach. Do you have someone in mind that you think would best fill that role right now, given the crisis at the border and all of the problems that it brings with it?
I would say that there are scores of American men and women that could step up and fill that role. And let me clarify that chain of command works that way. When you have an absence in the chain of command, then the chain of command fills itself. And this is exactly what's happening right now. And the president, as commander-in-chief, has executive authority to make his requested appointments, and then the Senate must perform to confirm that man or woman to that position. This has been part of the struggle that we face here on Capitol Hill, is the obstructionist nature of the process. But we are constitutionalists. You ask, what should we do? We should follow the law. We should enforce existing laws. We should comply with our constitutional parameters. We should perform according to our compassionate heritage, serving those in need and protecting those in danger. But this includes securing our sovereignty. We have reached a point of collapse at our southern border, and the very integrity of our nation is threatened. Nothing good can come of this. We must secure our southern border. We need men and women in place that are willing to do so. And I believe, having spoken with the president about this, that he has the will and the determined focus to make exactly that happen.
Congressman, I wanted to ask you about something that's been going on back home in your district. 3 African-American churches have been burned. We don't yet know by who or why. You videoed yourself in a response to those arsons. Let's take a look at that.
There could be many reasons why this happened. None of them are righteous. If you participated in this, you have succumbed to evil. Powers and principalities are controlling your life. I encourage you to look deep into your heart and step away from the darkness that has enveloped you and turn yourself in, because you will be caught.
It's a powerful response there, Congressman. Do you believe that this may be an act of white supremacist terror?
Well, that's one of the possibilities. But as an investigator, what we do is we follow the evidence without prejudice or without presumed outcome. And that's exactly what the investigators in Louisiana are doing. And I'm going to tell you, some of the best in the country are down there working on this case. It struck to the heart, the very core of the soul of our community. That church that I stood in was within a mile of my property, and those are good folk and a good, solid Christian principle. Sometimes generations of American men and women have attended these churches. These are 3 Christian rural churches, predominantly African American churches, that have been burned to the ground. We will find, when I say we, I mean we as a people, the investigating authorities I have tremendous confidence in. They're following the evidence that's been harvested. There's a great deal of evidence that has been harvested. I have a high degree of confidence that we'll catch those responsible, and I'm prayerful that they'll go ahead and turn themselves in, because this will bring a rapid closure to this pain and allow us to move forward as a society with healing. And let me add, if I may, Madam, that those pastors and those congregations have stood as strong and faithful American Christians, arm in arm, with a focus on rebuilding, with love and respect. You're not hearing any vitriol from them. You're not hearing responses that reflect retribution or anything like that. You're seeing the very best of Christian principles out of these pastors and congregations who've been struck. And it hurt the entire community. I'm part of that community, and we intend to catch those responsible. I encourage them to turn themselves in, because whoever you are, if you're watching, you're not going to get away. You're not going to escape. We will catch you. We will arrest you. You will be incarcerated. So I advise you to turn yourself in.
Congressman, could you tell us a little bit about your community? I mean, is this something that shocked you? Is there a history of racial tension there in your community? Could you just tell us a little bit about that?
Well, of course, there's a history of racial tension across the globe. The sun does not set on racial tension anywhere in the world, but America is unique in that over the course of 240 years, we've had a peaceful transition of power. We've had major struggles from within. And this includes overcoming racial tensions and racial prejudices. So my community of South Louisiana is no exception to yours or whoever's watching here. But our community is strong, and that which brings us together and bonds is much greater than anything that could divide us. So one of the possibilities of these burnings would have been racially motivated. That's certainly being considered. But again, as an investigator, we follow the harvested evidence to its conclusion, and there's men and women down there doing exactly that. We'll find out who did this, and we'll find out why.
All right, Congressman.
Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. And good morning to you.
Next on Rising, is there a potential compromise to be found in the immigration debate?
Democratic Congressman Tom Suozzi believes so, and he's already working across the aisle on a proposal. He'll explain more as Rising continues.